Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning from my side, and thank you very much to CCDOT for having me here on this conference. My point is to go back on the security policy level now that we heard many of the threats that are allocated with using tech. And I'd like to give you an overview of how the German MOD views on the role of the cyber and information domain in evolving conflict, a most relevant topic, but also a topic which is relevant over the horizon, which is the overall theme of this conference. When I look back, the scale, complexity, and challenges that we are facing currently goes beyond what I've seen in my more than 40 years of military career so far. We've got a war in Europe, unfortunately. We've got a war in the Middle East. We have witnessed nuclear rhetoric, which is reminiscent of earlier times. And while these are the most evident threats that we need to recognize, that there are other threats like espionage, international terrorism, violent extremism, and regional conflicts have not gone away. They are also still there. And all those challenges will be sort of supercharged by the impact of climate change, which will again destabilize the situation within and between states. So in a nutshell, the rules-based international order is under intense stress simultaneously, and this is probably not seen by everybody. Simultaneously are witnessing currently a seismic change in the character of war, and this time again largely driven by technology. So things will move really fast now. And the future conflicts, they will be characterized, just to give you a few impacts, by ubiquitous sensors with mass data collection and processing ability, and those sensors minimize the opportunity for military forces to hide. We see low-cost autonomous platforms coupled with commercial imagery and behavior tracking data, augmented by AI and analysis tools that will accelerate the ability to sense and make sense of the environment. Drones, loitering ammunition, precision-guided munitions with increased speed, range, and accuracy that will further reduce the time it takes to close the kill web. Robotics and additive manufacturing will change the way militaries supply and sustain their forces. Pervasive sensors, AI-driven weapon systems, and long-range precision fires will make the fastest platform seem slow and leave the most hidden formation exposed. And finally, the increasing developments in space and cyber platforms and capabilities, both kinetic and non-kinetic, ensure that the next war's decisive terrain will not be limited to the Earth's surface. So I'd like to draw your attention to the cyber and information domain, and as a short definition, we Germans regard the cyber and information domain. Our understanding is that this includes cyberspace, the electromagnetic spectrum, and the information environment. So we try to have a holistic view on the cyber and information domain. Some observations on the use of cyber and information by malign actors in peacetime, crisis, and conflicts, not least what we've seen so far, what's going on in Russia's war against Ukraine. And we all know, and this was a notion already yesterday, that the war in Ukraine started well before February 24th. Since the annexation of Crimea and even before that, we could see Russian activities targeted against the Ukrainian government. And the effect of those Russian activities could also be seen far beyond Ukraine, registered in the United States, in Poland, in the Baltic states here, but also in Germany, and Viasat was mentioned yesterday in one of the keynotes. So the cyber and information domain is used in a targeted manner in the run-up to, but also during a conflict. And cyber attacks, as you all know, are diverse, can be carried out with minimal resources, and are employed both before, during, and after open hostilities take place. They include espionage in social, political, military, and economic areas, ransomware attacks on critical infrastructure control systems, influencing opinions and manipulating information in social networks. And the risk for the attacker, be they states, proxies, or organized crime, are manageable, as identifying them is difficult. The anonymity has turned cyber attacks and malicious actions in the information environment into a very powerful tool, which is often used to achieve objectives without the need to cross the threshold of a direct military attack. And one example dating back to 2016 in Germany, the famous Lisa case, so the alleged hijacking and rape of a young girl with Russian origins. It was a complete hoax, but it ended up with some 5,000 Russian origin German citizens demonstrating in front of the Federal Chancellery against the migration policy of the Federal Republic of Germany. So a very successful information operation directed by the Kremlin. In those times of hybrid or liminal warfare, conventional instruments of deterrence face unprecedented challenges. And in addition, we have to confront the lurking risk that we might one day wake up being locked into a technological dependency which has the potential to seriously affect our sovereignty and our ability to act and defend our democracies. So we are, as German MOD, putting emphasis on two aspects. First, we need to build resilience through digital sovereignty in order to maintain the ability to act in and control the cyber and information domain to the extent that is required to fulfill our armed forces mission securely, independently, and without unwanted third-party influence. So I'm not arguing for digital autarky and autonomy, which is impossible, but sovereignty. We want to make sovereign decisions. And here, how to achieve digital sovereignty, we are following 6 lines of operation. First is to employ trustworthy IT, including safe and secure supply chains, together with our industrial partners. Second, to maintain a competitive edge in key emerging disruptive technologies. Third, to maintain robust and resilient core command and control capabilities. Fourth, to expand our capability to innovate, which is a challenge for military organizations. And fifth, promoting digital competencies across the entire personnel. Our 6th line of operation, data, becomes a strategic asset for the Bundeswehr. Therefore, we have to use it with the most efficient outcome. We need to know our data, and we're not really good in this currently. We have to own it, and we need to improve our organization to become more data-centric, and the Cyber Commanders panel yesterday morning proved also this thesis that we have to become more data-centric as an organization. Second, we need to better integrate and synchronize with our allies and partners. And for us, this includes, again, 2 levels. First, integration at national or state level, and second, the integration within the military across all domains. As a nation, Germany still has potent capabilities in the fields of diplomacy, economy, civil society, our legal system, intelligence, security, and of course, defense. However, our traditional understanding of peace, conflict, and war, and a certain sense of what I would call strategic narcissism had led, or strategic narcissism meaning that we needed to be overconfident of our own capacities and try to see the world as we would wish it to be, and not rather as it is sometimes hindering a more coherent and integrated action. But like it or not, nowhere are internal and external security as interconnected as in the cyber and information domain. And it is therefore crucial to integrate all levers on all layers of national power and to develop such a holistic understanding of the complex and interconnected security environment. And our national security strategy, issued last year, mirrors that notion of integrated security. To my second point, regarding the integration in the military, we need to integrate across all 5 operational domains, so land, air, sea, space, and cyberspace. And we need to achieve this with our allies and partners. And integrated deterrence must become our ability to combine effects across all domains at all levels of warfare to deny any opponent the ability to build up own sanctuaries where he does not have to fear our response. And multi-domain integration also requires structural adaptations. And in Germany, we introduced the Cyber and Information Domain Service as such a central enabler, multiplier, and effector. While the services, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, exist to conduct operations within their physical domains, the Cyber Information Domain Service conducts operations across and beyond them. This is, however, easier said than done, and we need to better understand this changing environment, and we need to develop the right doctrine, education, training, and especially for the leadership mindset. And we need to do it with our partners in NATO, the European Union, and our allies across the world. In addition, rather than the structural adaptations, we need to change the way how we develop and field capability, so our traditional waterfall approaches. It is no longer the platforms that make the difference, but our ability to sense, understand, and orchestrate the chain of effects, including sensor networks, data, analytics, and kinetic as well as non-kinetic effectors. And in the end, we will need information dominance, which then translates into decision dominance and ends up in escalation dominance to deter any aggressor. Still, when we look at the reality, our requirements processes circulate around the acquisition of platforms, not to the networks, that enable the rapid decision-making across all levels of power. In Germany, we are in the midst of the process of reforming the way we develop and introduce IT services. We've come along quite a way, and we want to introduce those services in a more standardized and by the scalable way. So defense will and has to become software-defined. And this notion of software-defined defense can and will play a decisive role in this regard. And I come to the presentation of Trend Micro now. The key is really to begin thinking of military objects, a frigate, a fighter jet, or a tank, as hardware, and thinking of those military objects and hardware as part of a larger system. which is woven together by a resilient and secure digital backbone. And through this integrated approach, which places the use of tech and data at its heart, we will become more agile, more innovative, and more able to respond to the challenges and risks ahead of us. So you have to look at your frigate like you have to look at your smartphone device. At the same time, we need to incentivize our industrial partners by refreshing capabilities constantly and implement more agile and spirit development of capabilities. And we have to get out of those proprietary solutions which are offered by industry and which then give the integration burden to the military. So DevSecOps, in a nutshell, must become the new normal. Finally, multi-domain integration will require a cultural shift across defense. We are still largely bound to the classic domains, land, air, and sea, and the coordination across the services is still far from being sufficient. And here we need to improve joint education as early as possible, and we need to become better and more inclusive in the way we manage talents, especially scarce resources in IT, computer sciences, or analysts. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude. The rules-based system is under intense stress. We need to provide the instruments to sustain and prevail. We need to become more resilient and robust to counter these or new or changing threats, and know where, as I said earlier, are internal and external security as interconnected as in the cyber and information domain. And that is why a comprehensive whole-of-government understanding of integrated security is crucial. For the military, time, speed, and responsiveness are and will continue to be the decisive criteria for success. They require integration and synchronization across all 5 military domains and beyond. And the integrated security approach will become crucial to cope with the complexity and the interconnectedness of today's world. That integrations, the values we share, and the respect for the rules-based international system are what distinguish us from the dragons and the snakes that are around us and challenging us. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take some questions as we have about 10 minutes time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, General. I have one question about supply chain security you mentioned. To what extent it is at all possible to have a safe and secure supply chain fully covered here in Europe? Thank you. And the second part, what do you see Germany and the European Union, what can we do more to have it in the future? Thank you.
Yeah, very good and excellent question. I think, to be fair, currently we don't have this sovereign supply chains in Europe, even probably not in Europe and the United States. What we need to have is more transparency. 3 years ago, we worked together with our partners in industry on a position paper on trustworthy IT and safe and secure supply chain, trying to write down the requirements we need in order to have more transparency of our supply chains and what we need at European level, partly also in Germany. We need to have an industry that is able to give us the quality control over what parts are integrated into the devices that they're delivering to us. And this goes far beyond the Huawei discussion, which takes place in Germany and Europe from time to time. So it's room for maneuver. We need this transparency, and when you look at Germany and the European Union, there are some initiatives to rebuild parts of the supply base in Europe or in Germany, when you see with the chip factory to be built in Eastern Germany and other initiatives. But this will take a long time. And it also poses the potential risk that we are relying on outdated technology sooner or later if we do not have the agility in the industrial sector to use those sovereign solutions to provide edge equipment to us. So I guess it's a really complex operation. In Germany, we are currently reframing the strategy for our defense and security industry, which has been rather platform-orientated in the past. And here we also try to bring in those digital and tech solutions in a far stronger way and with software-defined defense to describe an ecosystem that is more agile and more up to speed to bring the warfighter the capabilities he needs, even on a legacy platform. So a very short answer for a very complicated problem, yeah, indeed.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Juncha. I'm coming from Montenegro and CERT. Thank you for your great remarks. And my question is, I wanted to ask you if you see quantum computers as a great threat in the future, and is there any planning going on from now? Because as we all know, has been released the 1,000 qubit quantum computer by now, and is there any planning going on? How would we battle that? I know maybe quantum computers are not going to be available that much, but I can see it that they maybe can have a big impact and as a threat. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. I agree. But let me start by saying quantum technology will pose huge opportunities for us and will give us the chance to explore technologies in a way that we probably haven't seen before, including sensors, communication, and computing. However, there's also the risk attached, especially with our encryption procedures, and we are aware of this risk. We have taken precautionary action. We have a bunch of studies underway. Germany built up 3 years ago an agency for disruptive innovation in cybersecurity, and they have some tenders out to look on quantum computing on the one hand. So we want to see, is there an option in the, let's say, longer future to have mobile quantum computing capabilities in place also for military applications. But they're also looking at the risks that quantum poses for our encryption systems and how to develop post-quantum safe security options. So we know about the risk. We're doing precautionary action. We are not doing this alone, but also with our partners. I think we are prepared, and I hope we will have the solution in place before we have quantum technologies at hand that really then pose a risk. You are right that I guess 3 years ago they told me it's about 30 years time until we have this risk really in place. Now they're telling me it's 15 years time, so probably it's just 5, 6, or 7 years ahead. So technology is really moving really fast, and we have to get our act together to prepare for this new technology and to prepare our system that it operates safe, secure, and resilient against those technologies. Yeah.
Thank you. Maurice Eglin from State Secretariat for Security Policy, Switzerland. I'm responsible for the Cyber Defense Network. General, you addressed the topic doctrine. My question is, how do you see the challenge of implementing a doctrine that goes over the military domain and actors through the governmental organization and also civil society?
It's a very good point. The easy answer would be our national security strategy issued last year is described under the notion of integrated security. And this national security strategy really brings to the heart that security is more than just diplomacy and military, but it's a whole of society approach. So we have the strategy in place. The military is now transforming transforming this strategy into a military strategy, into defense policy guideline, which also have been issued last year. So we knew our bit of the homework we have to do as a military to contribute to this integrated security approach. I guess the Foreign Office is also pretty much aware of what they have to do. The really huge part is the societal part, to really explain to society that security is an integrated approach, that we all have to share to take within this approach, and this will take time, and it will need political leadership to really come to terms with this approach. It is huge. It is a huge endeavor. What I see in Germany after Russia's attack against Ukraine, that also other government departments who were a bit, let's say, reserved with regard to security, whole of government defense issues. There's also a shift in mindset now. They know they have to prepare for civilian defense. They have to look at our medical support system, whether it is resilient enough. The cyber dimension is on everyone's agenda. So I see progress in Germany. Are we fast enough? We could be faster, I would assume. But the most important point, to my personal point of view, is political leadership to explain it to the society and to have the societal support in this endeavor to become more resilient and integrated in security.
Hello, Clémence Poirier from ETH Zurich. You talked briefly about space, so I was wondering, how is the cyber defense of satellites discussed between the Cyber Command and the Space Command in Germany? And also, second question, whether, from what I understood, the distribution of responsibilities is based also on the distribution, the origin of the attack. So is this something, considering the difficulty of attribution, that may hinder incident response in case of attack on a satellite, for instance?
Two very good questions, which I could allude on for several hours. To start with the space bit. Currently, the German Air Force is responsible to provide a space situational picture. However, the capability owner in space for 100% is the Chief Cyber Information Domain Service, which includes our intelligence satellite capabilities, our communication satellite capabilities, and our geospatial support capabilities in space. So we have one capability owner in space, and it's the same capability owner who's responsible for cybersecurity and resilience. So concerning the capabilities that we employ in space, we have a coherent approach, and we will make sure that everything we deploy in space is resilient, cyber secure, and up to speed. We are currently planning to replace our current geostationary communication satellites, and the new satellites will have laser communication terminals, intra-satellite communication. So we're doing a lot to increase the resilience and robustness of our satellite capabilities, and we will also, hopefully in near future, complement them with LEO capabilities. So space, the responsibilities in space are not a real problem currently because we have one capacity owner, and there are still discussions whether the Luftwaffe remains the space situational picture, whether this will change. We will see in due time, but currently I would say this is not our number one priority to look at those interactions between Luftwaffe and cyberspace. On the attribution part, Germany has a cyber response center, which has no executive power, but which is a coordinating platform where the military, the intelligence services, the police services, and others bring in their holistic cyber security picture, so that the notion is that we can sing from the same sheet of music. However, attribution is first and foremost a political discussion. You may have heard that Germany 2-3 weeks ago attributed the Russian Secret Service to attack the Social Democrat Party, which was right, which was cool that we've done it. The problem is the attack took place a year ago. So it's not really agile and responsive. However, when I compare the situation today with the situation, let's say 6-7 years ago, Germany has become far more proactive in sharing the assessment that we've been attacked by China, North Korea, Iran, or the Russian Federation, and then to really publicize that we've been attacked by Russia and to attribute Russia with the attack. When it comes to a real cyber attack, the challenge will be to coordinate the several security institutions in Germany. What we are doing for the military, we are asking for more exercises. I guess everyone wearing uniform in this room knows when you exercise for the first time, it normally ends up in a medium-scale catastrophe. So you have to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. You have the drills, you have to know your procedures. You must know it when you get awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. You must know what to do and whom to call. So we need this drill in order to be prepared if something happens.
Guten Morgen, General Vetter. Berenike Vollmer, BAE Systems. I'm doing Surfer Intelligence. So you mentioned the Valsat attack in passing, which obviously led to the disruption of 5,800 wind turbines in Germany. Energy security in Germany is obviously quite a big topic, especially given that we are trying to shift to renewable energies, but we don't produce these technologies. We majorly import these technologies from countries such as China, right? Would you mind commenting how you're trying to, or how you will secure the military energy security in the upcoming years?
Well, interesting question. So currently there is a program to make our military installations a bit more greenish. So look at renewable energies, bring them in. To be fair, we will buy the products which are on the market. In addition, when it comes to critical military infrastructure, we will continue to rely also on fossil capabilities, so the good old diesel and gas will be features to safeguard our critical infrastructure. And the question is, to what extent can we use renewable energies in the field? There are a lot of research and development programs going on. In the end, it must be important also, again, to have a look at the supply chain. How can we sustain this dependency? How can we mitigate these dependencies? And concerning the IT equipment to organize the flow of energy, it's the same truth like for other critical infrastructures. You have to have a clear view on your supply chains. You have to have a clear view on what providers you have inside there, and you have a plan if they don't adhere to your demands. Yeah. But it is a question that will affect society. You're right.
Hello. Very good morning to everyone. My name is Otar Kakhidze. I come from Georgia. I'm currently accompanying OTA of my country. Lieutenant General, that's a great privilege to hear your speech. My question is regarding the intellectual property and cybersecurity. Many people have mentioned some inherent tension in this field, and I was wondering what your opinion might be about the further development of intellectual property regimes in the defense technologies within the Union and outside the Union, especially that some of the attendees have mentioned new technologies such as the quantum computing and renewable energy. Thank you.
Maybe it's not only intellectual property, maybe it's really how do we build up a industrial base that is able to cope with the developments in technology, let's say in Europe and together with our partners on the other side of the Atlantic and also our partners in Asia. How can we join ranks there? As I said, for the security and defense industry, we're just reframing our strategy together with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Foreign Office and the Chancellery. And here, I hope we will master to put a far greater emphasis on digital technologies that will make the difference. I quickly turned on the software-defined defense notions. We have to build up, maintain, and develop a supplier base. And the more digitized defense becomes, the more digitized the armed forces becomes, the more we have to invest also in what I call the sort of back-end infrastructure. So just bring in new digital radios on a tank doesn't solve the problem, but is probably the start of a challenge, because then you have to make sure that those digital devices are updated considerably, that security patches are provided as fast as possible. You have to have the software maintenance capabilities, you have to have the software development capabilities, and you cannot have this all in the military. So we have to build up military, civilian, industry partnerships, ecosystems, if you like it, and we have to find incentives to have those ecosystems, growing these ecosystems. Within industry, there's also a shift in mindset responsible. Currently, industry, traditional defense industry in Europe, looks to provide the best tank, a suitable fighter jet, and a good frigate. What they are lacking currently is the connection between the frigate, the fighter jet, and a tank. So how can we bring digital solutions on a frigate? How can we have a sort of application layer on the ship which is separated from the ship's operating systems to make sure that if the app doesn't work, the ship will still sail safely on the seas? So how can we really become software defined? This has to do with IP, this has to do with industrial ecosystems. How can we integrate the far more agile and dynamic startup scene in defense matters? Because defense is, let's say, a super tanker, which you can't direct like a speedboat. So how can we become, as a system, more agile? And how can the state, how can defense, how can ministries incentivize industry to join us on this pathway? I think this is the challenge. And IP rights is one part of the equation. I would say IP rights is probably the more fascinating part when you deal with partners who don't adhere to IP rights and copy your intellectual knowledge as they like. But for defense, my notion is we have to build up new ecosystems, we have to think out of the box, and we have to transform also our traditional defense industries to speed up in this way. And we are not alone on this way. I mean, the connected car, automotive sector is doing this right now, so maybe we can look at them and probably not copy the deficiencies, but look for the challenges and opportunities, yeah. Okay.
Lieutenant General Vetter, thank you so much. Your
Thank you.
presentation.
Vielen
A lot
Dank.
of questions.
Dankeschön.